Hi everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to look at Unit 6.4. This is Scale Drawings and Models, and this is found on page 224 in our textbook. I'm still sick, as you can hear, so sorry about my voice being weird, but we just got to move on. Let's go ahead and make sure our name's at the top, put our class hour, and today's date. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to learn for today. We're going to use scale drawings. And we're going to construct scale drawings. We're going to use scale drawings and construct scale drawings. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. It says, suppose a model of a dragonfly has a wing length of 4 centimeters. If the length of the insect's actual wing is 6 centimeters, what is the scale of the model? All right, so our main thing to remember for today is model, oops, an O there, not an A, sorry. Model over actual, okay? All right, so let's fill in. So how big is the model? It says the model's length is 4 centimeters. So we'll do 4 centimeters. And then over the actual. So the actual is 6 centimeters. Okay, so wants to know what the scale is. All right, so that's kind of like finding the unit rate. So we're trying to figure out on the model what 1 centimeter would equal compared to an actual real life. So we're going to do 1 centimeter here over x. And then in this case, it'll be centimeters. Okay. All right, then we're going to cross multiply, so this goes back to using proportions. So we're going to do 4 times x, which is 4x, 1 times 6, which is 6, and we'll divide that by 4. And of course, it's going to give us 1.5. All right, so now we need to actually write out the scale. So what this means is 1 centimeter is equal to 1.5 centimeters. All right, so it's kind of like finding the unit rate, if you will, only the ones on top instead of on bottom. All right, let's go ahead and try these by yourselves. If you're still not sure, just stay with me, and we'll figure this out here in just a second. Okay, it says the pillars of the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. are 17 feet tall. A scale model of the memorial has pillars that are 5 inches tall. What's the scale of the model? Okay, so in this case, again, we have model over actual. Okay, let's put letter A right here so we know that this goes with letter A. We do 1 there, so 1A. All right, so in this case, the model itself is 5 inches tall for every 17 feet. Okay, so in this case, we're figuring out what 1 inch is compared to how many feet in real life. All right, so let's cross multiply here, so that'll be 5x equals 17. And let's divide that, and you grab a calculator. We'll do a decimal here for that one. So let's do 17 divided by 5. That's 3.4, so x equals 3.4. All right, and then you actually need to write the scale. So the scale is 1 inch represents 3.4. Oops, that's equals there. 3.4, and then we're in feet this time for the second part. All right, so kind of like when you guys are looking at your maps in geography class, or you just look at a map in general, it always shows what the scale is. Okay, so in this case, 1 inch would represent 3.4 feet. Okay, so like on a normal map, 1 inch may represent 25 miles or 50 miles or something like that. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing. All right, let's take a look at letter B. So if you weren't quite sure still on letter A, go ahead and pause it and try letter B by yourself, and then just come back to me as soon as you're ready. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at B then. So it says the length of a model of a bridge is 16 inches. The actual length of the bridge is 50 yards. What's the scale of the model? So again, we're going to have 1B here, and it's model over actual. Okay, so let's take a look. It says the model is 16 inches, and in 16 inches, that's going to give us 50 yards. So 1 inch represents how many yards? All right, so let's cross multiply and divide, so that'll be 16x equals 50. Let's divide that, so that'll be 50 divided by 16, and we should have 3.125. Again, we actually need to write the scale, so let's do that. So that means 1 inch equals 3.125 yards. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and need another example. So if you still didn't do the first two by yourself, please pause it and try the next one completely by yourself. All right? Okay, let's take a look. It says a model car is 4 inches long. The actual car is 12 feet long. So what's the scale of the model? So again, it's model over actual. So the model length is 4 inches, and it's actually 12 feet. All right, so what's the scale? So 1 inch then represents how many feet? All right, so we cross multiply, so that's 4x equals 12 times 1, which is 12. And divide that by 4. That makes easy math then, so x equals 3. All right, so in this case then, that means we have 1 inch, which represents 3, and this time we're in feet. So 1 inch is 3 feet. There we go. All right, so that's how you find the scale of the model. Okay. So now let's take a look at example 2. It says the blueprint of a skateboard ramp shows that its length is 11.4 inches. If the scale on the blueprint is 1 inch equals 6 feet, what is the length of the actual skateboard ramp? All right. So again, it's model over actual. So in this case, model over actual. All right, so on the model, we know it's 11.4 inches. It wants to know what the actual is this time, so we don't know, so that's my x. Then they did tell us the scale, which was 1 inch equals 6 feet. Okay, you guys see how we're just working backwards? In the previous ones, we had to find the scale because they gave us all the measurements. Now we're just going backwards. So they're giving us the scale. We got to figure out what it is in real life. Okay, so it'd be like you taking a map, taking a string, measuring how long it is, and then calculating how much distance that is on your map. All right, so in this case, we'll have 1 times x, which is x, 11.4, and then times 6. So that's going to give us 68.4. All right, so in this case, it says what's the length of the actual skateboard? We are going to be in feet. Okay. All right. See, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it's in feet. Okay. So we got feet. So 68.4 feet. We'll circle that. Okay. Now, that's using the scale. You could also use something called scale factor. All right, so let me write that over here. So scale factor is when you have all the measurements exactly the same. So in this case, we have inches and feet. So for this one, it would be like, so 1 inch is equal to 6 feet. So 1 inch over 6 feet. So to find the scale factor, we would change it into all inches. So 1 inch then represents how many inches altogether. So we know there's 12 inches in a foot. Okay, so 12 times 6 would be 72. So in this case, it would be 1 over 72 inches. All right, so in this case, this would be your scale factor. So make sure you do write that down because then your homework, it might ask you for scale factor. I can't remember off the top of my head if it does or not, but I'm sure it's probably in there somewhere. So to find the scale factor, it's when you convert everything to the same measurement. So if you remember back in that one lesson where we had convert rates, this is all goes with that, okay? So you guys should know how many inches are in a foot and so on. You won't have to go between systems or anything like that where you have to go from like inches into centimeters or anything like that. Everything will be in the same measurement system, okay? So there's that one. All right, let's take a look at this one. So it says a map of a natural history museum shows that the dinosaur exhibit room is 7.25 inches wide. If the scale on the map is 1 inch equals 8 feet, what is the width of the actual exhibit room? All right, so for this one, just for fun, let's go ahead and use the opposite one. So let's actually find this with scale factor first, okay? So let's do scale factor over here. And let's find the scale factor. So 1 inch equals 8 feet, okay, which means that 1 inch then, so again, there's 12 inches in a foot, so we're going to do 8 times 12, which is 96. So 1 inch equals 96. So we're going to use that then as our beginning point. All right, so it says on the map, so the model is 7.25. We don't know what it is actually. However, we do know that 1 inch equals 96 inches, okay? All right, so again, you can solve it the other way like I just did, so you can do 1 over 8 over here instead. It'll still give you the same answer. I'm just going to try to use scale factor, that way you kind of got some of each, and I'll jump back to the other way because I think it's probably a little bit easier. So let's multiply. So we have 1 times x, which is x. 7.25 times 96, I have no idea. Let's see, let's type that in. So 7.25 times 96. 696. So 696, all right? And that's all in inches, so in this case, it'd be 696 inches. All right, so just kind of pick and choose. Like in this case, would I want to measure a room in inches? Probably not. I probably would want to use feet or yards. So if you do take 696 and then you divide that by 12, okay, it'll tell you that it's 58 feet. Okay, you'll get the same answers. All right, so when you work this out on homework, it's going to depend on, did you use scale factor and put it into all the same measurements, or did you use the scale factor, or sorry, we just did scale factor, or if you just use the actual scale, all right? So scale factor is when everything's in the same measurement. Scale is just any measurements whatsoever. All right, let's go ahead and look at another example, and I am going to use just the regular scale for this one. I think it's a little bit easier. All right, it says a map has a scale of 1 inch equals 8 miles. 2 towns are 3.25 inches apart on the map, so what's the actual distance? So it's model over actual again, so model would be 3.25, and then actually is unknown, and then the scale is 1 inch for 8 miles, okay? Now this one, like I said, you're going to have to use kind of a little bit of common sense, because you could say, well, why won't we use scale factor on this one? Because if we're going to measure distance between 2 towns, would I really want to measure that in inches? Okay, probably not. All right, that would not make sense. So if it's a smaller item, you know, like the little toy car or something like that, yeah, then you could probably measure inches, and you'd be fine. All right, whereas towns, we don't want to measure distance that much in inches. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so x times 1 would be x. And we're going to type in 3.25 times 8. So let's go ahead and do that. 3.25 times 8, and that makes 26. So in this case, it's 26 miles. All right. So again, just kind of use common sense whenever you're doing this. You can use scale factor, or you can just use the scale. It really doesn't matter, but try to pick what you think would be best on this, okay? All right, now let's move on to example 3, and we're going to move on to the second part of the objectives, which is actually creating this stuff. So let's take a look at this. It says Lila is painting a mural at the community center on a wall that measures 18 feet long and 12 feet tall. Make a scale drawing of the mural. Use a scale of 1/4 inch equals 3 feet. Use 1/4 inch grid paper. All right, so let's actually do this. So I did put some grid paper on there. This is 1/4 inch paper. Okay, so let's take a look. We need something that's 18 inches, 18 feet long. And it tells us that a 1/4 inch equals 3 feet, and each block is a 1/4 inch. Okay, so let's think about that for a minute. If 1/4 inch equals 3 feet, and every block is 1/4 of an inch, that means one block represents 3 feet, all right? Well, we need 18 feet. So if one block is 3 feet, and I need to go 18 feet, then how many blocks do I need? In this case, that would be 6, all right? So let's go out 6. So we're gonna go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Then it says that it's 12 feet tall. So again, if every block represents 3 feet, and I need to draw out 12 feet, then how many blocks do I need to go down? In this case, it would be 4. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, then we're going to square it off. And then let's go ahead and label here. So in this case, this would be 18 feet. In this case, we will have 12 feet. Okay, and then that means that we have, let's put our scale here in the middle, so let's do 1/4 inch equals 3 feet. Okay, so when do we use this? This is mostly used for like map drawing or any kind of architectural stuff, so especially if you're going to build a house, okay, you're going to have some floor plans, and then your builder or your contractor will draw those out for you, or go somewhere to a store and they will actually do that for you, and then you give those to your builder, and then they know exactly how far everything goes. So first they'll start with the foundation, they'll pour the concrete for that, then they'll build their way up, and then they'll figure out, well, I need this much room for every wall, and so on. Okay, so that's how we actually use all that. All right, let's try got it number 3 here. It says an architect is designing a school courtyard that's 45 feet long and 30 feet wide. Make a scale drawing of the courtyard. Use a scale of 1/2 inch equals 10 feet. Use 1/4 inch paper. All right, so let's figure this out. So on the last one, we had a 1/4 inch, which was one block, and that represented 3 feet. Well, we still have 1/4 inch paper, and this time though they're saying that a 1/2 inch represents 10 feet. So what's the relationship between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch? So that would be double, right? Okay, so that means that we need 2 blocks this time to represent a 1/2 inch. So for every 2 blocks, that means we actually need 10 feet. Okay, so if every 2 blocks represents 10 feet, now we're going to have to figure out how many we're going to need. So let's start with the width. I think that would be easier. So if 2 blocks represents 10 feet and I need to go 30 feet, then how many do I need? So in this case, we're going to count out, we need to double it, all right? So we're going to go down, so let's see. So that's going to be 5 feet. That makes 10 feet. 15, 20, 25, 30. All right, so we needed 6 blocks. Okay, so each of our blocks represented by 5, so it's easier just to count by 5. All right, now let's take a look. So so for long, we need to go with 45 feet. So if we need 45 feet, and we just said a while ago that one of our blocks represents 5 feet, or you could say every 2 represents 10, but since we have an odd number for 45, that won't probably help us too much. So if one block, which is a 1/4 inch, represents 5 feet, then how many groups of 5 do I need? I'm going to need 9 of them, so we're going to go about 9 this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It came out exactly. Okay, so let's finish squaring it off, and there we go. Okay. Now I went across for my 45, you could go down instead, it really doesn't matter, okay? I usually try to make the longer side always go outward instead of downward. That's what I usually do for whatever I do mine. Okay, so let's label this then. So this will be 45 feet, and this will be 30 feet, and let's put the scale. So in this case, a 1/2 inch equals 10 feet, okay? All right, and that's it for this one. So again, it's not really too difficult. It's just kind of a little bit different, I guess you could say, for this one. The main thing to watch out for is that scale factor thing. So again, scale factor is when you put everything in the same measurement. Otherwise, it's called the scale. Okay, so just kind of looking at your homework, there is a scale factor question on there, it looks like, so make sure you know the difference between the two. So that's it for this lesson. Again, sorry for my voice being so weird. I'm having some kind of voice problems today. I don't know what it is. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.